episode of Pink Confinement. Today we're doing an update with Christy. Christy, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. So for the people that are watching and didn't watch your story the first time, can you give a little background about what happened and about what's going on in this update?
What happened, my son was killed on November 4th, 2021. He got shot 12 times. He was pronounced dead at 5:30 p.m. that evening while I was at work, and I got a phone call from my other son to tell me that he was killed.
Okay. So from that time being until now, how has that affected your life?
It's not the same. It never will be. It has brought my kids together more. I mean, we were always close, but we're just more so now. It's not the same.
No, you good. You good. So what would you say to a person be like, well, you know what? You have 4 boys. You know, I'm sorry that happened. So you got 3 more left. What would you say to a person that will say something like that? Like, well, you got 3 other kids that's still here.
That's not the right thing to say. Because that was my child. Mm-hmm. That was my baby. That was my youngest. Like, he was the last one in the house. Like, the other 3 were, 2 of them were off to school, and Tyrese was, in and out. But he was my baby. So it doesn't change the fact that, you have 3 more kids. It's still, you lost a child.
Do you think your heart will be forever broken? Do you think that you will ever have closure?
I always said no, but we did just have DeAndre's trial, and he was the murderer was sentenced to life without possibility of parole, and that just sitting in the courtroom and just listening to the evidence and just hearing the witnesses speak, it kind of gave me closure on what exactly happened, and it wasn't other things that were running through my head that I thought had happened. So that gave me some closure, but it's never going to be all the way.
So what was you thinking? What was your mindset when you was in the courtroom, sitting in the courtroom with the person who was accused of killing your son?
There was a victim advocate person that sits with you during this trial, and they prep you before you go, because my mindset was going to go in there and act a damn fool, because that's how my emotions were. My emotions were all over the place for the last couple weeks before trial. It was just all over the place. And then during the trial, it was just even worse, because he was, first you're just sitting in a room with him. He's not in handcuffs.
Oh, he wasn't?
No, they don't put him in handcuffs when they're on trial.
Okay.
So, not in handcuffs, you're like, I'm here, and he's right there. Like,
oh no.
And they prep you to not say anything, to try not to make eye contact with the suspect, and I couldn't do it. I felt him staring at me, so I was staring back. There was a time, my parents had came, and my dad had to walk out, because I could feel my dad, and I could hear his, like, just on certain things that were being said from the witnesses, I could just hear my dad in the back, just grasping and like moving it up, and look like, oh Lord. So there's about 2 times he had to go out the courtroom and just go downstairs out and go for a little walk and then come back. But it was a very long trial. It was 7 days. 7 days of trial, and he would say he was having issues and was sick, and he couldn't be in the courtroom, and we would have to take long breaks. So it was very long and draining.
Do you think he was saying those, making excuses so he wouldn't have to sit through the trial?
I think so. I think it bothered him to be sitting in there knowing what he did and knowing that it wasn't an op that killed him. It was somebody he didn't hang out with on a regular because they really didn't know each other because he had just recently got out of jail. He had been locked up for like 10 years, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So they just started, coming around. He's just started coming around the kids. And so it was just, it was that just get that help him get closure, that it wasn't somebody or some, BS shit just going on. And
Yeah.
but to sit there and look at him and just be in the same room, I was glad the few times that he didn't have to sit in there and the judge allowed him to go sit in his little room, the holding room where they hold him. But it was hard. It was very hard.
How did you feel when he was looking at you? And what was the look? Like, was it like, I'm sorry I did this? Or do you feel like he was taunting you?
Yeah, he was taunting. He was like looking back, smirking. And one point he after the end of the trial and they sentenced him, he started waving at all
the jurors?
Yes, all the jurors. He was just waving at them and I'm like, and just smirking. It was always like it wasn't a taunting, like he was just like, or not like he wanted to do something to me. It was just like,
whatever.
Like he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He just literally didn't give a fuck.
Do you feel the right person was convicted? Do you feel he was the one that killed your son?
Yes. After the evidence and looking at video footage and 2 witnesses that told their story on 2 different days and they barely knew each other, it pretty much added up and made sense.
So you said they had video. What video did they have?
They just had a video of the witnesses in the interrogation room.
Oh, they didn't have no Ring camera to see?
Those cords were missing out the wall.
So how do you feel about that? So it was other people in the house, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel like it was a plot, like they had something to do with it since the cords were missing from the camera? Or you still don't know?
No, I just feel like it was a trap house.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they wanted to remove cords because there was other illegal things
going on
and that was transpiring and was probably all on that video footage. So, of course, after that shit happened, they probably went in there and started ripping the shit out the wall and got it out before police came, before police were called.
Okay. So did they show the jurors the entire interrogation of these 2 witnesses?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they did. Several times. The jurors actually asked to see it a couple times. When they were going through deliberation, they actually came back one time and asked to see a certain part of the video or of the interrogation on one of the witnesses.
Was they forthcoming? Was they truthful when they did the interrogation, or did the detectives have to pull the truth out of them?
They were truthful. The one, he was about in tears because he was very close to my son.
Okay.
The other gentleman, he was an older guy. He didn't really know them. He just was there, and for whatever reason, he was sitting on the couch across from where DeAndre was.
Okay.
And so he seen everything. And the other one that was crying was sitting next to DeAndre. And he was the one that was trying to help. Like, he's literally, this boy is like a teenager. He's probably like 16, 17 then.
Mm-hmm.
He's like this big, and the guy who killed my son is like big, and he was trying to fight. He said that he was trying to fight to get the gun from him. But he just was, outpowered. He was a big dude.
What did they actually say happened in the house? What did they actually say transpired?
They said that DeAndre's murderer walked in the house. That was his dad's house. DeAndre was, so when you walk in the house, I guess there's like, when you look to your right, there's a couch.
Uh-huh.
Then there's a coffee table, and then there's another couch, and then there's like a refrigerator with like snacks and sodas and shit in it. And then there's like a little stand with all kind of other shit in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the older gentleman that didn't really know nobody was sitting up against like the window. So when you walk in the door, there's like a wall, and there's like the front window of the house. He was sitting here.
Okay.
DeAndre was sitting across from him, and then his friend was sitting next to him. So he walked in the house. He asked where his dad was. I guess somebody told him he was in the back, whatever. And then he was like, let me get a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So he walked towards the refrigerator. That's where DeAndre's gun was sitting, leaned up against the refrigerator.
Okay.
So when DeAndre seen him going towards the fridge, he was like, hey, bro, pass me my gun.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabbed it. He was like, this one. And then he just started shooting him.
For no reason.
That was all that they said. Like, both witnesses said the same thing, and those two witnesses didn't even know each other. Like, they just had seen each other that maybe a couple times before that particular day, but never really exchanged words or talked. And both of them on different days both said the exact same thing. Like that exact thing that happened.
Did they say, did any of them try to help your son, or?
The one boy that was his friend was trying to help. He was the one who was like real tiny, trying to fight him to get the gun out of his hand. Like, you know, he was hitting it, so, you know, pushing it, trying to push it out his arm so that he can stop. The older gentleman, he said he didn't know what the hell was going on, or what, because he don't know them, so he didn't know what was going on. So he said he literally, when the first shot hit, he just ducked down and covered, and then after he said all the gunshot stopped, he said he got up and he ran out the house because he didn't know what the hell. He said he ran over my son's body and ran out the house and didn't call 911.
Why you didn't call 911?
He said he was scared, and he said somebody else was outside. There was people outside, I guess, that heard it because, you know, it's in a rough neighborhood. So somebody outside that witnessed it, apparently that lived across the street, was already on the phone and like standing over DeAndre when he ran out the house.
Did that witness, did they say, was your son at that point, was he still breathing, or was he?
He said he didn't touch him.
He didn't touch him?
He ran over him. He just stepped over him. He said he was covered in blood. He just ran past him. And he said with the amount of shots, he said he heard about 12 shots.
So did the medical examiner, did they say that the shots, they was instantly fatal, or did, you know what I'm saying, it was some time left?
He had more than 12 shots. It was 6 shots, excuse me. It was one that hit his wrist or somewhere in his arm, and from one of the investigators, what it looked like is when he was, I guess, standing up, going to grab his gun, and he started shooting. So one went to his arm, and then I guess DeAndre might have started turning to get away, and one went in the upper part of his arm, and it came out. No, that one was stuck in the back of his back, and then the other one was like right here in the artery by his heart, and then the other one was punctured his lung. So he was, he wouldn't have made it even if they got there in time to try to do anything, because he was already gone.
Did you have any doubt in your mind that he will be convicted of your son's murder?
No. I mean, I did a little bit because of other things that were being said and other people that were in the house that we don't know, because the two witnesses said there was somebody else there, but they don't know who he was. Besides the owner, which he was there. He was just in the back room. I guess when it happened, and then he came running out. So I don't know who that other person was. So that's the only thing that's like, who was that other person? I don't know.
So how would you feel if, like, say, 5-10 years come down the line and this mysterious person pop up and we're like, well, you know what? He really didn't do it. Such and such did it. Would you believe it? Or how would that make you feel?
I don't think that I would believe it after sitting through the trial. Like, I know who was convicted. He did it. Like, he knows he did it. He didn't even want to get on the witness stand to say anything for himself. So, you know you did it. At least I would feel like if somebody knew they didn't do something, I would get on the stand. And I would say, you know, whatever I wanted to say to make these folks believe that I didn't do this, but he didn't.
Well, you said before this happened, he had just got from doing 10 years. What if his lawyer be like, well, you know what? You just did a 10-year bid. They're going to open up your past history and stuff like that. And he probably was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to get on the stand. Would that be suffice for you as to not getting on the stand? Or would you still get on the stand?
If I knew say that please.
Say for instance, say that you just did 10 years
Mm-hmm.
and you got out, they accuse you of killing somebody. And your lawyer would be like, well, you know what, Christy? You just did 10 years. You already got a bad rep. I don't think it's good for you to get on the stand. Would you not get on the stand? Would you still get on the stand? Even if you know, you're like, I ain't do it. I don't care if they bring up.
What I got to lose? What I got to lose? At this point, I'm facing a damn murder charge. I'm getting on the stand.
Okay.
I'm getting on the stand. Yeah, I'm getting on the stand. Cause what I got to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing. Either you're going to say I'm guilty or I'm not. So either way, whatever I say ain't gonna, you probably already got, the jurors probably had from all the evidence they already had plotted in their head what they was going to say.
Do anyway. Okay, I feel you.
Like, in the way you acted in court, like, I know the jurors were looking at you like, you just doing the most. He told the judge that he was going to shit on himself if he didn't let him leave for the rest of the day one day.
What? So just acting real childish.
Yeah, he told the judge, "Fuck you." He was cursing the judge and everything. The judge was just so calm and collective, and he didn't budge. Now I'll tell you that the one thing the judge did, he said, "Well, we have wipes." He said, "Go down there." He said, "Go down." He said, "Take him back downstairs so he can handle his business. We'll take a 30-minute break, and then we'll come back." 30 minutes came. He came back. He acted up again. He said, "Well, at this point, we can just end the trial and I can tell them to go back there and make a decision, or we're going to continue on." And they took another little break. The lawyers tried to go back there and talk to him, and then he came back. This was every day, though.
Every day was something with him.
Every day was something with him.
So
every day.
Do you know if he had a paid attorney or he had a public defender?
He had a public defender.
Okay. Do you think if he had a paid attorney, the verdict would have turned out different?
Yeah, somebody like Kendrick, yeah. Kendrick would have found some loopholes or something. Yeah, I think he would have stood a little bit of chance, just for the cameras being ripped out and just little stuff that just watching the different pictures of what the house looked like, when they went there and did their investigation. It's just certain stuff, but at the end of the day, like, he killed him.
What if the jury would have came back with a not guilty verdict? What would that have done to you? How would you have felt about that?
I would have probably lost my mind, and I probably would have went to jail, because I definitely was going to jump on that man. I would have jumped.
Even though the 12 people say no, we don't think he's guilty.
I don't give a fuck.
He still was guilty.
In my head, he's guilty. Like, I probably wouldn't be here today right now. We'd be recording in the jail cell. Because I definitely was going to jump over and do something to him.
Okay.
I would have.
Okay. Yeah. How did your body feel when they said guilty?
I just cried. I was shaking. I know I was shaking. And I was just crying. It was a little bit of closure, but it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling.
How long did it take for the jury to come back with the verdict?
They was ready in about 27 minutes. He had broke us to go to lunch.
27 minutes?
Literally, like, the judge was like, it was 11 o'clock, and they normally would break for lunch, but about 12 or 1. And the judge said, we'll come back from break. We'll take a break, and we'll see where they're at and if they have anything else. And so then we sat out in the hallway. She was like, "Don't leave yet. Let's see if they come up back out and have a verdict." And literally, like, I think we were in the hallway talking for a little while, used the restroom. Dad probably went downstairs, walked around the building, and he came back up, and They were like, "We're ready." We were like, "Ready? Like we're not taking lunch breaks?" He was like, "No, they're ready." And I was like, at that point, I was like,
Oh
my
wow.
emotions were everywhere. I had like butterflies in my stomach.
So what? So when it was like ready, what was you like? They gonna find him guilty? What did they not find him guilty? Was you like? Was your mind all over
It
the?
was everywhere. It was everywhere. Like even during the break, I just kept like pacing up and down the hallway. I couldn't be still. I couldn't be still.
Okay. Okay. How much time was you expecting for him to get?
I knew he was gonna get life because of his past. Like when they went through his old charges and things that he done, I knew that he was probably gonna get life. And the judge had said that when he was naming off his sentences, like there was nothing less that you were gonna get because of your priors, and you were barely out for I forgot how long he had been out, like not even a year before he just did that 10 years. So the judge like you're not getting it. You don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just knew then that he was gonna for sure get life, but I didn't think without possibility of parole. I thought that he would have probably got with parole.
So his prior bad act, were they violent charges?
Yeah, it was. He did something to an officer. He had some. He had a long record.
Yeah, and I seen after he got convicted, I seen that they fingerprinted him again for it says what contraband down in the
He had some contraband and
in the jail. Okay. So how did hearing life without parole, how did that make you feel?
It was a little bit of relief. It was a relief, and it was also a little bit of closure.
Did you do a victim impact statement?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So could you give a little rundown about how did that come about? Did you write it overnight? Did it come from, what I'm saying, just off the top of your head? Like how hard was that for you to talk to him? Did you look at him while you talked to him?
They see that's what it was weird. Like I didn't get to. I said it, but nobody. No, he was in there, but like the jurors or nobody else was in there. But yeah, he was in there, and the way it was set up, no, you couldn't look at him because you had to stand on the little thing.
Oh, okay.
You were like, he was like across from me this way.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I could look at him because I had to talk into the microphone. And I had my niece help me. I just gave her pretty much what I wanted to say about DeAndre, what I felt, and how it pretty much impacted um, my kids, the family, and then she kind of just put it together for me. So basically, I just was talking about DeAndre and how he was just always happy and smiling. He loved to joke around. He swore he was golden at football, and he had a way with his words, and he loved to rap.
Yeah.
Um, and every day, like I said, is different. It's hard. Some days are better than others. Holidays, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I read it. I cried just like I am now, like a baby. And that was it. But nobody else was in there. It was just us and the judge and the.
Did he say anything?
He didn't say nothing at all. The only time he spoke was when he wanted to act like he had some mental problems and he was sick, and that was the only time that he said anything.
Did you have any empathy in your heart for him due to his background?
No, not at all.
Why not?
He killed somebody. He killed an innocent child. Like, no, no.
What do you have to say to the people who were like, well, you know what? God said we must forgive or we're going to go to hell. How do you feel about that statement?
I'm going to hell.
Okay.
I'm going straight to hell then because I have not, I can't even wrap my mind on forgiving. I can't.
Do you think down the line you will be able to?
I don't. I feel like I'm in my mid-40s and you're pretty much set in your ways, and I don't think that's going to change.
Okay. So we already know that he been sentenced life without parole. But if he was sentenced with parole, and if he had a parole hearing, would you show up to make sure he stayed in there?
I absolutely would.
Okay. So what message, what would you say to any other mother that's going through the same thing that you're going through, that, had a child, lost a child for some bogus shit? What would you say to a mother that's going through the same thing as you?
There's nothing you can really say. Like, all I can say is just you got to stay busy. You got to stay busy. That moment that you're alone by yourself, you got to find something to do. And as horrible as this sounds, because it sounds, what I'm thinking right now sounds dumb in my head, but I'm gonna say it. Life goes on, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, I just been blessed with grandchildren these last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps me going. I just think about my other kids, my grandkids. Because some days I just want to just don't be bothered. I don't want to come out my room, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to. I got grandkids, so I try to keep busy. If I'm not at work, I try to go get my grandkids or see them.
Mm-hmm.
Just you got to stay busy. You definitely got to stay busy. Find something. I haven't found mine yet, but I've been going. I ain't been going to counseling, but I went to counseling in the past, and that's one of the things that they told me is to find something that you like to do or like a hobby to keep yourself going. It's not to just sit at home and rot, although that's just how you feel every day. For me, I'm just been blessed with what, one, two, three more grandchildren.
Yeah, you do got 3. So do you see DeAndre in any of your grandchildren?
That grandson of mine.
For real?
Kyson is, yeah, even though that's not his child, but baby, that little boy, his actions and things that he do, I'm like, oh, I said, okay, DeAndre, you playing with me on this one right here. And he probably up there like, yeah, this one right here. No, yeah, Kyson he's a handful. He's a handful. Terrible twos at his finest.
Okay. So, if you could see your son one more time, what would you say to him?
Tell him I love him. Yeah, I definitely tell him I love him. That's the last thing I told him was why he didn't wash some fucking dishes in my sink the night before. I was fussing at him and through a text message because he wouldn't answer the phone. And I cursed him out through a text message about not cleaning my damn kitchen after he went there cook.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just tell him I love
him. Okay. You have any last words you would like to say, Miss Christy?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you for coming on Peak Confinement and giving us an update. And we all praying for you and just hope that you make it each and every day, one day at a time. And again, we're sorry for your loss. Live long, Draco.